Well, we think it's quite useful to spend a little time learning a little about this properties box on the left-hand side. Remember, if you click View and select Properties and untick it, the properties box disappears. Let's put it back again so that you can recognise what we're discussing. It's this zone through here. Perhaps the first thing to note is this little plus sign here. If I click on that, you notice the little box changes to a 1. What that means is if I click on an entity, and in this case it's a line, and notice how the properties box tells you it's a line and gives you information about that line. Its start, x and y values, its end x and y values, the fact that it has no z coordinate or no 3D information, and the delta x and y and length are all reported there. I'm working here in decimal feet. That's very close to 5 foot long, that particular line. The line was in fact traced off a Google Earth image, so it probably is 5 foot long, so we've got very, very close. But I digress. If I select another line over here, you'll notice the selection, the grips on the first one disappear. That's because this sits at 1. If I change that to a plus sign, now when I pick other lines, you can see we now have a selection set that collects, in this case, 2 lines and 1 polyline. And you notice that here this changes all 3. There are 3 entities selected in the selection set, and I can in fact look at the information about the polyline if I want and get the vertices there. So I hope you see that paying some attention to the properties box is important. If we go back to all, and I can click that caret there, expand things, go back to a line, and I can collapse there. So I can see varying bits of information in that properties box. I can widen the zone on the left so it's easier to read. I can also adjust this column within here just like you would with an Excel sheet. So we've got a lot of control, and you can set things up the way you want. So that properties box is really quite important. There are some select by filter options here. If you collect those, you'll notice that they're not operational. We'll implement these later in the development of GCAD Plus, as we will with these selection options here. Just a reminder, right-click in the screen and unselect all. We had 3 entities selected. Now we go back to a look at the drawing itself. And in general, the block base, if we use this whole drawing as a block, let me just widen that, its insertion point is 0, 0, 0. The current text style associated with this drawing, if I just started using the text command, is there, but I could change. There's an Arial style already preloaded. This tells you that there is one other dimension style called, not very sensibly, just style 1, and so we could activate it. Now we're dimensioning in style 1, and multi-line styles are in fact not developed in this drawing, and my units, if I was going to use this drawing and copy and paste it, are in decimal feet. The current view that we have here is in model space, and if I swing to our sheet here, you'll notice that the view changes. It actually gives us the exact size of the paper, even though I'm working in decimal feet and this should be a drawing produced in the USA. I'm using an A4 piece of paper. My orientation is book or album. You can change that orientation just by a click, and you can change the width and height, and the origin can also be changed. So I could, in fact, I've changed from A4 to ANSI A, and you've got an ability to change your paper sizes very, very quickly and easily. Let's just go back to letter, which is likely to be the case if you were working in the US with a small printer attached to your computer. So I hope you see that the properties box is really quite important. We've discussed it a number of other times because you can change all sorts of things. If I select those lines there, three lines are now selected, I could change their color by just clicking on a named color. I could change the layer those on. I could move them to, say, an irrigation layer. I could change the line type. whether it's a dot dash pattern or a continuous pattern, change the scale and the line weight. Can you see huge power in that properties box? Do spend some time in just experimenting with it.